Good morning. Hello, hello. It's the beard. I am taking over this morning. In fact, all the beards are taking over because we've got Brian and your backseat prepper and Ginger on board to talk a little bit about what I've been up to with my RPGing.
Someone's got an RPG out there.
Yeah, just RPGing so hard. But yeah, I had been running a
by the way, make me big real quick.
Oh, make you big?
Give me the bigness.
Okay, hold on.
That's you. You're big.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Dude, I think that looks so good. I
think it's one of the better things I painted.
Dude, it's amazing. The like little crisp like white on the kind of edges of the water, and then like the purple undertone on the bottom that looks like the reflection of the magenta in there. It
really turned out well.
It's spectacular.
So yeah, I just wanted to show that off because I started it on Tiny Mang, and now I think I'm calling it done.
Yeah.
Make me so.
Okay. Duly noted. Yeah. Yeah.
I no longer require bigness.
Fair. That's fair. Speaking of upcoming this week, we've got all sorts of fun stuff on the Known World United channel. Got prep school this morning. Tomorrow, Star Wars, Scum and Villainy, board games on the Discard.
Are you going to be there, or do you know yet?
I'm not. I have to do this anyway. No, I will not.
No. Okay, I was just curious. I didn't mean to like.
I meant to send you a message this morning, and then I was like, I'll just tell them when I'm on the stream, and then I was like,
well, I had told folks, I think like in a previous stream, I had said like, hey, Beard may not be there for Star Wars, or maybe it was just like in the Minecraft and chat the last couple days. I was like, hey, other Star Wars folk, he may not be there for that, so we're just gonna cruise with what we got, the crew we got.
Absolutely. It's a crew game. I'm not worried about it. I think it'll be fun. I'll catch up. I'll see what's what.
I was just curious because I know we had talked about it obsessively, but we had not.
Hello, sexy pink. Say Shaggy.
Hey, did you just say who can it be now?
Oh, who?
Did you just say who can it be now? Please tell me you just said that.
Yes.
Who can it be? Knocking on Beard's door. Go away. He needs to prep some more.
That's funny. We're never going to replace that beautiful banger of a
hey, there he is.
Wild Man appears.
There's my beautiful boy.
He showed up after the sweet theme song. Now it's personal.
My normal trigger is the end of the Roots and whatever show on the radio, and they went over today.
I literally thought you meant like you just watch Roots, the television series, every single Sunday before prep school.
Well, see, and I was thinking that he watches
this part with Kuda Kente, and then it's time for prep school.
See, and I was thinking he was watching the Roots, the band, and they have like a Sunday morning show or something.
That's fair. Yours is probably
You're talking
more
about Roots,
than mine.
like the Americana on
yeah. They
went
over their time, so I was immersed in eBay crap.
Love it.
All right, Beard. I'm gonna stop hijacking.
No, we're just running down. What was going on this week on Known World, Scum and Villainy.
Give me a little bit of time at the end to talk Mountain Monsters with Matt. That's all I ask.
All right.
Because we watched 3 episodes yesterday, and I got opinions.
Do you want to kick off with Mountain Monsters?
That's up to you, man. This is your business.
Prep school is our business. I'm just showing up to do business today. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't want to fuck up your business. I'm just excited that you're here.
I'm also excited I'm here. I like having 4-man booth.
I do.
I like the combination of hair. There's 4 hirsute individuals here, and I enjoy that.
There is some interesting hair going on today.
Yeah, we got everything.
Cover all bases.
Yeah, I don't know what mountain monsters did you encounter. Let's start off. Let's get
speaking of hair.
Yeah,
and also mountain monsters. It does remind me of because I feel like we all have similar amounts of hair, just arranged differently.
Distributed.
Yeah, and they did make that joke about the Mountain Monsters crew when they were all just firing into the woods. Like,
it's the same.
It's exactly like that scene in Predator, and it's the same amount of man, just distributed very differently.
far differently. Yeah. Oh, fuck me, that's good. No, so we watched 3 episodes. One was their return to go after the Hellhound, where there were no Hellhounds in the entire episode. It was like it turned into Big Feet stuff.
Oh yeah, it's always it. Yeah, that
because
season,
now it's the Big Feet edition season.
Yeah, that season, whatever. Even when it was the Bears, I knew it was the Immigrants. To quote Mo Sizlak.
Oh my god, it was buck wild. There was an episode. There was the episode where they were. I don't remember who they were going after, but the Midnight Whistler did a run in.
Yes,
it was the Yahoo and the Midnight Whistler, and they were all going fucking bonkers. That episode had the most chaotic energy of any episode ever. It was so fucking wild.
Yeah.
I've never on TV seen anything so insane as that episode. It was just fucking buck nutty.
I do have to, like, I would be very curious, not that they will ever do it, but to, like, get interviews with them about, like, the actual, like, making of the show, because that one especially made it feel like the crew or whatever was like, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna like.
Also, I just want to point out something else.
We're just gonna say this other stuff is here and let them.
Oh my god, yeah, just put the sound effects in later.
Yeah.
I just want to say as well, I can't remember if it was that episode. It was one of the episodes we watched. There was more cursing per second than any fucking television show I've ever watched. They said every fucking curse except for cock, cunt, and fuck. And because we were watching it unbleeped, it was wild.
Oh, there's an uncensored one?
Yeah. Doug has them on Plex.
Oh, so he must have like the international versions.
It is fucking crazy. And then we should have done it that episode, but we were like so enraptured by all the cursing. Because Doug and I are kind of into cursing, I guess. I don't know. We're curse boys. They're mayonnaise boys through and through. They put it on everything. We did the official Doug Trapper son of a bitch count, and I posted it in our little Monster Mountain chat on Facebook. The one we did count, the first one we did started counting, 19 son of a bitches in one episode.
Jeez.
And I will say, the episode with all the cursing, he minimally doubled it. He had to have doubled it. That's how much cursing was going on in that episode. It was insane, and I was there for it. Yeah, I'm loving like this. I'm loving like this weird like the Ames team against Bigfoot clans across the Appalachian Mountains. This Bigfoot society, this hidden Big Feet society that Trapper is obsessed with finding, and I don't know, rooting out and maybe killing.
Well, yeah, the whole deal is to kill everything.
But the episode, the first time like they try to find the evil team, when they're watching him and they're just screaming out into the wilderness. Wow. Oh, wow. Willie says some shit in that episode that matches the crazy in his eyes. Again, another episode where I was just waiting for some type of racial slur to pop out of something.
Yeah, you get to that where you're like, okay.
How close are you just to saying something you'll regret for the rest of your life?
Yeah, given where you guys are from and
just you as people.
Yeah, that concern is always present.
Oh God. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. Like they were bonkers episodes. I was very, very happy we watched them. It made me super fucking happy.
The other fun thing with it is they don't pay any of it off ever, or at least they haven't yet.
They never do. And that was the thing that was so funny was it was like, oh shit, you're going back after this monster? That's awesome. We're back. We're back, baby. Technically, we're not back. We're in a different part of West Virginia. It wasn't that we went back after the Midnight Whistler. It's just that he migrated from Kentucky.
Yeah, even just all this shit where it's like, oh, the dark team has like all this intel on our personal lives, and they're blackmailing us to do this stuff, and we're gonna work with them, and it's like, it never like, yeah. It's ridiculous. It's great that
it's
they
beautiful.
just like, no, we're done with that. We're moving on. Now we're going to get into a story arc about how freaking Trapper might have, drilled into hell at some point.
What? What? What?
Yeah, pretty much. At least that's the implication.
What even is this world? What is this this beautiful fiction you've created for us?
Yes, they do actually catch a pig. It's obviously just a very normal, small, like not even a large pig.
I've seen much bigger hog.
Yeah.
I wanted to word that, but
you can go to any state/county fair and see a much larger pig.
I've seen way bigger hogs out there.
Well, yeah, but you're on the internet, so
exactly. Show me that hog, baby.
But and then yes, of course they kill the bear beast, and it runs away.
They killed it because lung blood.
Yeah, it's gonna be dead because it's lung blood, and
it's
then
lung blood. Nothing survives lung blood.
Its body gets swept away in the river, and you'll never find it again. Don't ask questions.
Don't ask, don't tell.
It went to Canada. You wouldn't know it.
It's got a girlfriend in Canada. You don't know her. Anyway,
all right.
Sorry.
Yes.
It was our Mountain Monsters Minute. I think we should be allowed a Mountain Monsters Minute every episode of Prep School, regardless of who's here. We should just be able to go on for a minute about mountain monsters.
I am seriously debating when we, because at some point, we'll rewatch it, and at that point, I probably will just spend the money to buy it on Amazon so I can watch the international versions.
There is so much cursing, Matt. It's wild.
Even though I know I won't own it, and as soon as Crunchyroll buys Amazon or whatever, I'll lose all my stuff. But
Crunchyroll's gonna buy Amazon?
No, but that's just a reference to what happened this last week, where Crunchyroll took over the Funimation streaming thing.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, we understand that there are concerns about us not carrying over the things that you already bought on the Funimation app, but fuck you.
Yeah. Why? Because we can.
I mean, it wasn't that, but it was that, because they were like, we understand that there are concerns, but
we just don't. Yeah. We don't have any concerns. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Our concern is not losing money.
No. Eat our nuts. Eat our collective nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, James.
No, that's fine. I made a new content warning just specifically for our Mountain Monster Minute. Monsters will maybe mention, swears will fly like shells in the forest of darkness, and will always be personal.
Oh my God, yes.
So now every time you have it, whether I'm here or not, it's just hanging out at the bottom.
You ain't lying.
Ready to roll.
Like Willie falling out of a tree.
Ready to roll.
The days of our lives.
So that's been our Mountain Monster Minute to kick things off. Welcome. If you're here for monsters, oops, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
All bards. So yeah, I ran an ongoing for like a couple of years. The first thing I ever DM'd as an ongoing ended up being like 250 episodes of recorded content, which is really
wild.
silly. But then, yeah, we've kind of shifted since then. We did 20 some episodes of Drakewind Falls, which was a setting that we created using Microscope by Ben Robbins that we've used previously, with Ben introducing it, King introducing it to us. But highly recommend. Very fun world building.
He's got a couple games too.
Yeah, and
doesn't he have the Silent Year as well? Has that been?
Oh,
Yeah, that's Ben Robbins' Silent Year. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used the Silent Year, but he
He
has all
like
sorts of.
Kingdoms one too.
Yep.
They used the Silent Year on Taz when they did Ether Sea.
Oh, okay.
And there's like 4 episodes of them just building the world for Ether Sea using that. And it's really cool just to like see how they used it.
Yeah, he's got Kingdom, which is focused on specific things. Follow, I can't remember. Microsoft Explorer kind of is a suite to kind of go deeper with Microscope, and then Union is about connecting like family ancestry. So really like building that out. So highly recommend Lay Mage Productions. Very, very cool to see all of that. But yeah, so we use that to kind of build out Drakewind. It was a lot of fun. I think that we really liked playing in that space, and I think that as we kind of transition out of that space, and as other players had other obligations, things like that, we kind of decided to shift and create a new game. We kind of faltered through a couple of different things. We used the Dragon Dowser system, which I really love. That kind of was supposed to be a bit of a through line from Drakewind Falls to this new piece. I'll put there.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How difficult did you find it to transition?
Between games?
When like your group sort of hits that moment where you're like, okay, this might be it. With this group, how difficult did you, just as other people run games, and this would be a question I've been asked before, and I think you transition really well, as opposed to like I struggle sometimes.
That's why I'm talking today, is because it's been rough. I have had fits and starts with this one. For Drakewind, I think I did, and we as a group did a good job to do setting building, because that's one of my biggest hangups. Is I think one of the things that you do incredibly well is world building on the fly, even if you don't remember everything, from session to session. You're good at pulling because you have a really good kind of encyclopedic knowledge of like what's come before. Because I think you've played through so many different eras of role playing and using so many different systems that there's like a lot of that kind of embedded, that you kind of, you're able to kind of pull in things with, maybe it's not about confidence, maybe it's just about familiarity. But I think having come into this so much later in my life, I have a hard time sometimes when I don't feel like I have a handle on what the world is, or how it functions. And I don't think that that's a matter of not doing prep or being a bad game master. I think it has to do with just a level of confidence from playing and running, for I think this will be my 10th year at the end of this year. I mean,
really?
Yeah,
that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a long time to run games.
But I mean, that was from us. I mean, I only know that because it's Extra Life, and I said that if I was going to drag you into it, I would also run. So the first time I ever ran was the first Extra Life we did. I'd never run before, and so I mean, hell, I barely played before. You dragged me. You had invited me multiple times, like very graciously, to join your 4E group, and I finally did. At the very tail end of 4E, but just for a couple sessions, right? And then we made the jump and we did Microscope, and we kind of translated the known world into
I think
fifth
Zach
edition.
Might have been the person who introduced me to Microscope. I can never remember. There's another person that I would always point to, who I think we have similar paths into Dungeons and Dragons. We've probably
Sure.
been playing a similar amount of time, although we came to it from different places. And Christy was in the chat. I don't know if she still is or not.
Yeah.
She might be able to tell you better than I would. But like, he also had a wider breadth and scope of different games he'd played. Like he was a big like Vampire the Masquerade player.
Yeah.
Whereas I think I played it like twice. I played World of Darkness stuff like twice. But he also did like LARPing and shit like that, which I did not get a chance to do. So just like I learned a lot from him, even though I think we probably had similar amounts of actual background in playing and running. So
sure.
No, but it's cool to know that like you feel like you got something out of that and like continue to just run.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, it's what I really need. And I think that the fits and starts with this one is I didn't have that, you know, like for folks, I put the link in the chat up here earlier, I think. Let me make sure. Maybe I haven't. I'll put it in the chat, just a link so that you can view the kind of Google Doc of what we did for Drakewind Falls. But it was, you know, it was really expansive, you know, like we had, you know, we had artifacts and objects in the world. We, you know, had all of our lenses. We had our whole, you know, timeline.
Dogs not really background. You just didn't hold back.
No, they don't.
I didn't know if those were your dogs or if those were James's dogs.
No, they're mine.
Yeah, mine are upstairs, hanging out with the girls.
Nice.
But yeah, you know, I mean, you know, this has, you know, geography in the world. And so I just had a really good sense for no matter where the group, you know, decided to go, you know, I had a general idea of, you know, what races might be in that place and what it was. And because it was, you know, because of it being really collaboratively built, it was nice to have that infrastructure. If we went to a place where someone had kind of thought a lot about who was there and what was going on, I could, as the DM, not be kind of shouldering that part of the storyline. And I think that in starting this new thing, which we've kind of started, and we've had a couple sessions where we show up and I'm just kind of like, I just don't, you know, like I'm having a hard time, you know, I'm having a hard time running things. You know, I'll run like a module and then we'll kind of get done and it'll be like, okay, well, what's next? You know, like what is inspiring this? And I think to a certain extent, you know, we Warrior left, and so I'm only running for 3, and I think that makes a difference. I didn't, you know, I knew it would, you know, just not having kind of Warrior in there, but I think I'd gotten so used to running for 4 people and having kind of the ability for a split dynamic that wasn't a singular person, that there was always at least 3 of us telling the story at a time. When it's me and 2 others. When it's me and 1 other, and maybe that's not, you know, kind of where that person feels most comfortable, you know, in an RPG space, you know, it's less generative, right? It's less collaborative.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Question. Have you ever run for like 1 person, like at a time?
Yeah.
Have you? So you've tried that, like kind of experiment.
Yeah, and I think that's almost preferred, to be honest, because I don't feel obliged to other people, right? It's just the 2 of us.
You can make it if you try.
Yeah, you know. But you know, when there's other people kind of waiting, I start feeling that weight. You know, WEIG, because I feel, to me, when I'm enjoying myself the most, it's when everybody, even if they're kind of passively involved, feel like they're contributing, whether that's just, you know, kind of like laughing along or if it's that. But sometimes when you kind of get into this place where there's kind of 3 stories going on, or there's, you know, there's not, I find it challenging to kind of keep those threads going as a DM. And it's one of the things that, like, I have always said, for the prowess that you have, I think that's one of the things you do the best.
I
being
can't
able to jump back and forth.
I think that's a form and function of having like not ADHD, but having like maybe a tinge of it
Mm-hmm.
going on, because I find it to be I love the meanwhile because it gives me a chance to like reset my attention in another place for a little bit, so I can kind of back of my brain figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And I think that maybe that works better in some systems too than others. But for me, I find it really challenging in D&D, just especially because like when I am building things from more standardized books, you know, there is that kind of, these are built around 4 people kind of parties. And I think that I just have it in my brain that D&D is like so much about like the party dynamics and like how they interact, that when that starts to kind of break down, it kind of like breaks down in multitudes for me. It's like exponential, that as it becomes more microcosmic, it expands my my challenge with being able to feel like I am contributing at the level I want to contribute to, like feeling comfortable being able to kind of roll with the punches. Whereas if it's 4 chuckleheads, you know, going in all different directions together, I feel like if I throw something at them, or if I, you know, kind of flavor the narrative a little bit, that all 4 of them, like there's more aptitude to be able to like yes and when it's 4 people than when it's 1 person.
No, I would agree with that.
And probably why I've enjoyed games where where I'm in that kind of place, you know, like I think first group, like the old first group, or even, you know, like whether it's, you know, whichever couple it is, whether it's, you know, Nate and Sarah or Gene and Cassie, you know, I think that there was something about when we were all together that we all had very different play styles and maybe storytelling styles, and it always felt like a group, even though, like, you know, people were out for themselves, or Nate was making a deal for the 5th time with somebody, or Gene was, you know, picking somebody's pocket or ruining the good thing that we had going on, you know. But I think that there was more kind of group dynamic in that, and sometimes, you know, maybe even like during Extra Life, sometimes when I'm playing in something where I am like wrapping myself around a new setting, you know, just kind of pulling this back to your, you know, your question about, you know, how do you feel kind of making that transition? Man, I find myself to be so challenged in that space. And so I think that having things like, you know, Ben Robbins stuff, or the story engine, Peter's decks, or, you know, some of the storytelling decks that you've shared, sometimes those can be a really good lifeline. And I don't know, you know, for Brian and Matt, you know, if you guys have things like that help you connect, or if there's, you know, things in the, you know, in the D&D material or other things. I think sometimes having those threads that I can pull on when I'm feeling a little unwoven, or, you know, just in real life, just not feeling as good about things. I think I said in the little preview, it's like how to talking about how to run when you're run down. You know, it's like a hard space to be in, because you always want to deliver something fun, you know, or you want to contribute to something fun. I mean, sometimes I put that on myself, like I have to deliver something fun instead of just like showing up with the capacity to be fun, you know, which sometimes I have to like unhook myself.
Look, I am fun, god damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you do a good job of that. I really do. I think you don't give yourself enough credit, because it's not easy to do. But I mean, I think it's difficult. I think we use different tools different ways, and you've done a really good job of making that very effective. When you choose to use those tools, they're you know. So I do think it's really good to have conversations though with other people who run if for no other reason than you get a completely different view of the game.
Yeah.
and you get a completely different view of what people are taking away from your games. Because like there'll be lots of times where I'm like, I'm doing great. Hey guys, look how great I'm doing at this game I'm doing. And then if I had to sit down though and probably get actual feedback, I would probably realize it's not going as great as I think it is. I say that, and I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Beard though, you also have to ask the question: are you having fun?
Oh, I've found myself having to ask that question. I mean, it's one of the reasons why last time I came to the kind of Oops All Bards, this new session with Christy and Nate and Joel, is I kind of had to say like this has been really taxing for me rather than something that I've been looking forward to. And I think it's because I've had the anxiety of this kind of
because of
world.
you people.
It's everything, right? I think that work has been harder the last year, and I think that I think frankly I'm also not playing, and sometimes I think that similar to having conversations with other DMs, it's good for DMs to play too. We've talked about the challenge of not having a game when you're running 2 or 3 things, or you're some of the things with Known World, some of the streaming, just like keeping things going logistically. I realized that playing at Extra Life this year, last November, was the first time I'd played D&D in, God, I don't know, probably half a year or more. And it's just it's kind of like, being a teacher and then taking a class or going for a certification, and you reposit yourself as a student. And I think that that's really a powerful experience every time. And I think that running is kind of like that. And I think that sometimes, you lose the drive it like you stole it mentality that I think is the way I have most fun playing characters, which is one of the reasons why I love Extra Life and look forward to it every year. Is like I get a chance to just like go on the lot and be like, I want the sloppy jalopy, I want the primo Italian sports car, I want that tank over there, and I want the incredibly gas efficient but ugly looking mother lover over there. Like there's something really
it's very freeing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of very like sparks your imagination. Really, I find very like in like a kickstarty way where it's just like, holy shit, I forgot like how much fun it is just to cut loose.
Yeah.
As opposed to like being the person hurting the cats.
Yeah. And I even think about it, my wife and I went down to Omaha and just like 8 different things, and it's just like how reinvigorating that is to like a relationship with food, and just like taking the time to cook something new or doing something like that. I think that, running is the same thing, is you kind of lose an appreciation for how flexible and incredible all these different, role-playing game systems are. I think that we use, any tool the same way 90% of the time, and that gets boring, I think that that's why people are bored with 5th edition in some ways, is because they don't play with it, or they don't supplement it, or they don't, if you keep kind of eating this from the same cafeteria, and it's like going to Taco Bell. Oh, those 5 new menu items with all of the same 10 ingredients. I can't wait.
But I think some of that though is conflated by the fact that we all attach that edition to WotC and Hasbro, and they have caused such a fucking issue that it's not like even that like, oh, I don't want to play D&D. It's like I just don't want to. That shit is so like gross now that I don't want to.
Like watching wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel the same way. It's just when it gets to the point where like the thing you have to be selective about becomes kind of untenable for 90% of it, and you can only really enjoy that. I was like, I'm so looking forward to watching the second Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. match. But it's just, like I let it slip that, one of the things I miss most about being in community is going to local wrestling shows this week to one of my colleagues. And they were like high school wrestling. And I was like, no, like professional wrestling. They're like fake wrestling. And I was like,
you're like, yeah, sure, fake wrestling. If that's where we're gonna
I've
go.
gathered here to talk to you very seriously about not dismissing the things that I love, and now I'm going to sit you down and talk to you for it's like, and I kind of feel like D&D's like that a bit.
Do you feel like you have to have the same conversation with people like that about it? Like, do people ever like ask you and you're like, yeah, the make believe shit I do with my friends, you asshole?
Yeah, I feel like some people do that. I think probably
I find that always really fucked up. Like that we're still at a point at times.
It's childish. Why don't you go work on your car or do this? And I was like, okay, I don't know.
Because I don't want to. Because I want to play
people
in
made it
space.
untenable to work on 90% of the cars out there unless you have the financial freedom to buy an older car. It's like I can do probably 10 things to my car, and most of them just are like replacing basic things. But it's like I can't do anything with all the electronic tech that's in my car. Like that's not something like you could do with older cars. We can go in and you can understand the system. There's complexities and like overlaps between the kind of combustion and the electronic, and like I'm not.
See, it's like you're speaking a different language to me right now. Like I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
For me, it's just I don't think about cars that way. It's like I guess we go back to the Taco Bell analogy. Like I'm not gonna tweak my Taco Bell. Like I bought it because it's Taco Bell and I know what I'm getting and I don't have to do anything. I just take it and consume it. And the car is that. It's like, yes, here's a thing that takes me places.
I want to run to the border, god damn it. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be.
I don't need to do anything else. Like I'm gonna put some floor mats in it so I don't wreck it. And then I'm done. Like I don't need a fucking 5 CD changer because it's not 1992.
Whoa! Now you're coming for me, brother.
First they came for this, and they came for Beard and its fucking CD changers.
Yeah,
he's got one of them 25 ones that rides in the trunk.
Hell yeah, baby! I actually did used to have a 10 CD changer in the car that I had in high school.
Whoa!
Because I loved it. Anyway, I mean. That's
whatever. Don't, it's like, everybody has, passions for stupid shit. Don't shit on anybody else's.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Stop being a dick, brosif.
Yeah, brosif. And I don't think, most of the time, I don't think people are like genuinely shitting on it. I think that they just like.
They just don't know.
Their perception of. Yeah.
I.
If they know anything about it at all, it's because of freaking
bad stuff,
Big Bang Theory, or that episode of Family Matters that the Bushwhackers were on.
Sure, Matt. Sure.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I try not to personalize that stuff, but to some degree, it does like irk me quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, for the most part, I just kind of say, I usually just like say, like explain why I like it and why I, appreciate it, or why I have some sort of, love for something. And then like, if they don't get that, then that's their issue and not my issue, like, and for the most part, I mean, I think that once I explain it, I think people tend to be less, they don't tend to be condescending about it. It's just like, I think that they just don't, when I'm at a college and I'm talking to them about curriculum, and then, they have trouble rectifying like who I am as a professional and who I am as like a person sometimes. But I don't, it's always a struggle to me when I talk about design as storytelling and creating like spatial stories. And like creating ones that people are going to feel like happy and inspired by. And then I say, all of these other things are just creative collaborative storytelling. Like the people that don't get
Mhm.
that are the people that I kind of go, okay, mental note. Like this person, is not making those kind of connections that, this thing that we do can't be more than one thing, or the way that, that they
Yeah,
need to do it.
they're not interested in thinking about it beyond the surface of what it what it is. It's I mean, it's like people who won't watch movies with subtitles, or get
Yeah.
confused by metaphors in stories and stuff like that. Like how could you enjoy the book Lolita? It's about a a pedophile, and it's like, well, yes, but me reading that book and enjoying it doesn't mean I'm endorsing the behavior. Not
Yeah.
that I've read.
Yeah.
This is an example that came up recently. People are like, I don't know how anybody can enjoy that book because it's this. And it's like, well,
No, it's a book. It's this to you. And it's also, to me, that's very much in line with like the interview. I can't think of her name. Was it Joy Reid did with the lady from fucking Moms for Liberty, where she asked her a question about a book, and all she could name about the book was that there was an anal rape scene in it, and she couldn't name the main character, who was also the author, because she didn't know.
right.
Because she has she has no intention of knowing.
Yeah.
It's not about that for them, and it's never going to be about that. It's about, I only know the bad shit because it's all I want to talk about. I think that's the same thing with people who get, it's not exactly the same, but it's a similar mindset of people who get into that type of situation, that I only see it this way because that's the only way I want to see it. So therefore it is this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, but it's not that. It can be all kinds of things to all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Don't you want to like see past that? And I find, unfortunately, a lot of times it's no, I certainly do not. Actually, no, I don't want to see past that. No, I don't see any reason to see past that. That would upset my tender sensibilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, sorry I keep hijacking your shit.
No. I mean, I think that, part of this is just talking about it. I think it's the thing that I think that we all experience when we don't have Old Man Walking Club, or when we're not able to kind of jump on these streams, or, just have conversation is, it's a big fallout from the pandemic, when we made a lot of space for like us being like alone with our thoughts, and then together with our thoughts. It's just we had to confront all those things during that time period, and I think that for the most part people got used to that, even if it was uncomfortable at first. Is that everybody kind of had to spend some time with themselves, and I think that we did a really good job of parlaying that into coping mechanisms that were collaborative, whether it was gaming or streaming, or just like showing up, or having our wellness chats on Discord, things like that. I think were really helpful, and I think that sometimes we get when I'm away from this space, or just I'm away from this kind of stream of consciousness processing of what these things are when we are back together. It's it's challenging, and I think it's challenging. We're also doing it in person every other week, which I think is fun, but also challenging when someone has to work a little late, or we start a little bit different. When you're streaming, like you said, right? If I stream it, if it's on the calendar, I have it. I know when it is. I know when we're starting.
I know I have to do it.
Yeah, and I think that is what? Wait, talking about your shoes? My shoes opinions about that. Good, Mitch. We should jump on. We should have like a Mitch-isode here, one of these prep schools, and have Mitch back on.
To me, Mitch is always welcome. It's just as much. It's kind of like with Shaggy and Spike. It's just as much your shit as it is ours. You guys have always been super ride or die with us. So whenever you want space and time, like, it's yours. It's just kind of how I look at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the heavy feels you got to dress. Yeah, no, we're just talking about, why and when it's hard to run and to like
Well,
be working through all these things, then also just kind of talking about the kind of ins and outs of, yeah, I don't know.
well, like you're saying, you've just had a lot more going on at work too, and that
Yeah.
extra weight, and you've just got more going on in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing, man. I think you really gotta take some time to recognize is,
It can be hard. I've had to, I've had to do it lately. And it's like I don't want to, cut back on stuff, but I need to make sure that I've got the space mentally. It's like, what's the point of doing any of this shit if I'm not enjoying it?
I think the problem is though, is I've cut back so far that I don't have the space for this now. It's a muscle group that I've cut out to the point where it does bring me joy and I'm not making space for it, and I need it.
You'll come back to that spot. It's just like, you look at it as it's not a permanent. It's just, this is where things are right now.
Yeah.
Well, but also,
and then you'll make space for it when you can.
If you are getting enough benefit from it to make it worthwhile, then yeah, it is a matter of balancing it and deciding, where your priorities lie.
Yeah,
that's true as well. But I mean, like, you can't force like having fun. As much as we want to have fun and do all that, you also can't go, I'm gonna have fun, God damn it. It just doesn't work. It's just it rings hollow because it's hollow, and then you just don't enjoy it.
I think that the challenge in that though is kind of like with teaching is like you can't take your foot off the gas sometimes, because there are obligations that are to people outside of you that you've kind of collectively agreed upon. And I'm not saying that means I have to be super effective or I have to, I have to communicate what my limits are. And I've tried to do better at that in kind of the last couple of years. But to a certain extent, if you're going to agree to run a game, you are also, taking on some modicum of responsibility to have that game. And that's not something that I want to give up. And so I think that similar to, like when someone says, well, why don't you just, kind of like, not do this, or, just kind of show up and kind of do the work type of thing. And it's really hard to do that. Like you can't really just kind of show up if you're running a game.
No, I agree with that.
And that's not to say like you can't do less prep. I think that you and I have talked a ton about that, Ben, like just talking about like, how retentive we are, but like how much we're prepping and how much we rely on that, and how much, consternation we have when it, immediately in the first 5 minutes it goes off the rails, and all of that.
And I would point in that case to Zach who he like forced me. And that sounds really weird to say it that way. But he literally pushed me into changing the style of prep because I don't know if it was like him going, okay, this is completely fucking you up, or just like him saying, there's such a better way to do this, guy. I like to pretend that maybe it was because he was like, I see this as fucking you, breaking you.
Yeah.
But it also could have just been like, doing anything prep wise with you is fucking exhausting, which I'm sure it was. Again, Christy can probably speak better to that than I can, but it was a lot of like just trying to figure out what I could get away with. I know you're kind of will give me these beautiful compliments about like, well, you do this and this is, this way. And I just kind of always want to point out, it's like, I didn't always do it that way. And it took a lot of time, to get to that point. And that's the thing is like, you just said a little bit ago, how deep are you into this game? How long you've been doing this? Not really that long in the overall scheme of things. And it's doing prep and stuff for games is got similarities to a prep for work, or I'm sure prep similar to doing prep for a job like yours, but it's not the same thing. It's a different set of muscles mentally that you're stretching. And sometimes those muscles don't want to stretch the same way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Or am I just a nonsense talker today? Because that
No.
also happens.
No.
That sometimes I just talk the nonsense.
No. I think that there's, in all of this, right, there's going to be things that also ring true for our individual personalities and approaches to gaming, that may not ring as true with other folks. And I think that that's what makes RPGs such a exciting space to be in, and one of the reasons why, if I could go back in time and I can only change so many things, I would throw all of my younger selves cardboard in the garbage, or make him sell it and buy different resource books for different RPGs instead of playing collectible card games, because the flexibility that it supports is great. I think it gives you so many more avenues for your creativity and for your, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to say that it's like therapy, but there's certainly, like aspects about running that is very therapeutic, putting challenges in front of people and collaborating on how to move through them. I mean, to me, that's incredibly restorative and in a lot of ways. And one of the reasons why I think for all of the challenges of running D&DDT, it was also very gratifying to see, people grow in that game. As
sometimes for good, sometimes not.
Yeah. But, I think that that's always gratifying to see kind of like how people get from a very like straightforward perspective, how people like get out of the trap, or how people do that, the kind of ingenuity that your friends put forth, but also, that some people confront things, or, maybe just do a little role playing out of the blue, for people that are less, kind of inclined to do that. Sometimes you get those surprises that is that are just like one of the reasons why they're so much fun.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree with that. Sometimes you see people literally quite literally grow in front of you, like into find their confidence in a way you did not know they could, in that type of space. And that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's just literally one of the neatest things is to watch somebody who's like maybe never played a game like that find their footing and just like burst forth with the creativity. You're like, I honestly, and I don't ever mean that as an insult. It should be taken as a compliment. They just morph into something we're ill prepared to deal with in some ways.
Yeah.
And that's super neat. It's very just cool to see that happen. It's wild.
Yeah. So what I've kind of put in front of my group is we're going to dive in and do a couple lenses of microscope. We're going to, they're all bringing with 3 locations in the world, since they, help build the setting, for tour stops. Because the idea is after this first little module, they ended up being invited to tour with this band that they saved. That's like a big upcoming hotshot band, that are all like genasi. They're like different elemental genasi, very fun, like NPCs. A really fun, outstanding module that I'll share in the chat for anybody that wants to dig in. But we're also using this Bardcore Brawlers. It's like a shared kind of charisma based, performance based system where you can also, when performing as a band, like you can have kind of battle of the bands. I ran it maybe 2 years ago for Extra Life, and so we're also using that as we're going along. But yeah, they're bringing 3 locations for tour stops. We're going to do a couple lenses of microscope, and then we're going to use the kind of world builder deck to build out some of these locations or potential things in this space, so that we can all add another layer of familiarity outside of Drakewind Falls and kind of that immediate kind of continent, since we're starting kind of on this very long archipelago called the Dragon's Tail. That's basically like almost as big as the continent, like spreading out west. We haven't really built the rest of the world, so we're going to see Danny Breeze and the boys.
I love that name.
The Wise, because they're hip.
Have you taken the time to listen to the Lasers and Feeling stuff Taz did with the Space Opry?
I haven't listened to that one. No.
I think there's 3 parts of it. I would also recommend listening to that, just because of that was also something where it's like they took a concept like what you're talking about, and just went buck wild with it. And it's granted different system, but like when you see somebody do that and it goes in such a wild ass direction, it makes me just kind of go, holy shit, there's just like, you could take this story and move it any way you want.
Yeah.
And there's just such a very interesting like dynamic of, not being stuck in any form of style or format. It's like, oh, the game is just now the vehicle for what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a concept that leans so hard into that idea of I'll do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not confined by your bullshit. I love that, man. I think it's gonna be super cool. So get more granular, because I feel like have hijacked your shit today. Tell me the story of your people.
Wait, say that one more time.
Tell me the story of your people. What are like? I know you probably had stuff you wanted to hit when it comes to the granularity of the game. So
I did not. I really wanted to talk about, like, honestly, like how to run when you're run down is, I think, a big part of this, right? Is just like leaning on these tools to be able to think about what they look like, and how, for me, I think it was a bit of, how you process when you don't feel like you have the kind of tools at your disposal to kind of dig into some of these things. I think that is one of the biggest challenges, and it's one of the things that we kind of like talked through as a group and said, like, okay, well, what would help us, help you? And that was one of the things that I think was really great, to have a group that also says, like, okay, yeah, like, we'll go back to microscope, because at a certain point earlier on, when we were trying to figure out what we talked about playing the, I have the Avatar: The Last Airbender, like I have that system. I had a couple other systems, and we kind of tried out systems. We tried out a couple different things, did Dragon Dowser, and at a certain point, I almost, we almost landed on not playing, but just world building as our game, and just using different world building techniques.
There is nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
that's friggin' cool as hell.
And I think that, we said, well, yeah, let's do that regularly. Let's like come back to that every, couple of months and like build a little bit more and try different, systems out to help us kind of flesh out a location we're at or something like that. And I think that I got so wrapped up in kind of digging through the crust of this, this new setting that I think I just got overwhelmed by the need to kind of provide something, by the way of a gaming experience.
Do you feel like you get like paralysis by overanalysis with games?
I try not to, because I try to really embrace that kind of lazy dungeon master, like the kind of ethos that like everything and nothing that you expect to happen is going to happen, and so just like show up and let the kind of vibe of the night like lead where you're going. But I think I just
roll.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be. I mean, I think that's part of what, like, to put it in a more like cinematic terms. like that's why the prequels don't work for me
Mm.
as well as the original trilogy, because there's a lot of time spent like look at
World
all this
building.
cool shit that we
Yeah.
made.
There's a lot of cool shit.
There is, but you need to Fury Road it, and it's like it's there if you want to dig into it or think about it, but we're not gonna like cram it down your throat
Yeah.
and
yeah.
make you look at it or make you like it's there. Yeah, great, you noticed that. It's cool, but it's not integral to what the story we're telling.
It's background shit.
Right, and I mean, it's great because you can pull stuff like that out and use it. But when you're like, no, you need to, appreciate my amazing vision for all of this stuff. Like, no,
God, I wish Colin was here because he could do the voice.
like just let it, like just let that interest build on its own.
Yeah.
Because especially in a role playing game where it's like you might need to throw all that out anyway.
Yeah.
Give just enough that you're painting the scene and then move on.
So as players who are looking at this from a completely different like viewpoint, how do you guys deal with that? How do you guys look at like those situations and find like not just staying out of the burnout situation, but just also being able to be part of a collaborative storytelling thing where like the story you want may not be the story that's getting told. Does that make any sense? I feel like I just didn't. I said a bunch of words that don't.
I mean, I don't play as much as I would like to. I just haven't had the bandwidth.
But you play you play when you can play.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, so if we're talking about it from a like a limited time spectrum, even how do you maximize the time to get the enjoyment out of it?
Well, you have to go into it with the mindset that this is a collaboration. I can't, I'm not going to try and impose my will on a session or a group or a GM, because that's not what this is. We're all working together to come up with something to play to make a story. And it's not fair of me to try and impose anything. Now, if there's something that I would like to see or get out of it, I would put it similarly to like how I've heard comic writers talk about collaborating with artists where it's, well, here's the story that we're telling, but what do you want to draw? What do you like to draw? I'll make sure to put some of that in there. And I think that's useful from a session zero standpoint, but also just like as a player, if it's, especially if it was something that I was doing for a long time, I'd be like, hey, this is something I'd really be interested in exploring or playing, or an aspect of things. If there's a way we can work that in and get to it, great. But I'm there to play. I'm there to I'm giving myself over to the story. That's me anyway.
That makes sense.
And I think I've looked at it as like, if I'm playing, and if there is something that I want to do, role play it into the narrative a little bit. Like, give your DM just kind of a little bit of like hey, hint, this is what I'd like to do. Role play it into your character so that your other players can know what you kind of want to do and let it roll from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always really intrigued just to get that type of information from people. I'm like, because I think it's, I don't know. And again, James, please, correct me if you're not getting the same vibe from that stuff. I always feel like sometimes it's really hard to find that sweet spot if that makes any sense, of like, this is going to be where I see things going, but at the same time, am I being collaborative enough to where we're all kind of getting a feel for what we want? If that again makes any sense.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that just trying to find that so that there's enough entry points. I think that that's always what I'm when I'm most challenged running. It's when I don't feel like there's enough time and space for other people to have a lot of options on like where they might take it. And I think that that's, you know, maybe what's most challenging in a new world too, is unless you have a kind of collaborative feel that allows people to kind of build along with you, or feel like they have the agency, or that they're just inclined to, right? That may not be the kind of group that you have. That I think I always want to have enough different avenues that don't feel like you can do A, B, or C. You know what I'm saying? Like I want there to be enough richness in the situation that they could interpret it very differently. You know, that they could go, you know, that they could do things that I don't anticipate. I mean,
Yeah.
that's when I'm having the most fun running, is because it's when I stop feeling like I'm responsible for their fun or what's happening, and that I'm responding to them, right? I start being a collaborator rather than a setting, you
Right.
know, like rather than like setting the table, I'm cooking the food,
Yeah.
you know, and that we're all a part of that experience. And yeah, you know, the most fun I have watching any sort of like orchestral thing, or really a lot of bands I like, is like the band leader or the conductor or whatever is like, looks like they're having a good time, you know, or is like, you know, Bob Mold just like, you know, just stomping around stage, but like, you know, communicating, and just like really feeling like it's a collaboration. And yeah, I think that, you know, DMing's the same way, is that there has to have that kind of, yeah. Oh, I
Right.
like looked down at the chat and I must have scrolled up to see if I had posted a link. And I was like, we're really back on this fucking hog again? You guys are talking about the hog in the chat? I'm like, we're pouring our freaking hearts out and you're talking about the fake mountain monster. Come on. You know, really feels a lot like DMing, actually.
I mean, but still, I mean,
Yeah. Still, hog important.
hog very important.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Just in case. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a whole lot more. I wasn't really looking to kind of mine something specific in this. I think I really just wanted to also just kind of like throw out things. I think it's really fun for people to see like what we're playing. It's honestly one of the things I miss most about streaming the game, is that we had, you know, Mitch or Spike or Shaggy that would drop in, or people that would, you know, drop into the chat, or, you know, you guys would pop in just to see how it's going. And yeah, to a certain extent, like having some of those voices when, you know, it might be a little slow, or people might, you know, be having a night where they're just not, you know, kind of not dialed in. I think that there is something really great about that. And it's one of the reasons why, you know, going back to our maybe frustrations or experience with role-playing games as the kind of Hasbro, you know, Wizards era, you know, it's like you have something fun and amazing like Joe Manganiello's game, and you cancel it. And it's like there's a whole community built around it at this point. Like after just a very short, you know, kind of season, you know, it's I think it's things like that where, you know, some of that connection I kind of miss, even though it's so fun to be around a table of, you know, even with the four of us, just like being together. And, you know, and everybody, Christy, Joel, Native, I have always said, if we don't feel like playing D&D that night, if we just want to like shoot the shit, or if we just want to play a board game, that's totally fine. You know, it's about being together with people.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I have a hard time, because I'm so geared towards a timeline and deliverables and objectives, that that it's hard to just like show up and have fun. which feels bad. I think that that's why I, kind of talked about this, is because that feels bad. It feels bad that I feel like I can't just show up with some of my best friends and just be like, guys, I'm just shot tonight. Like, can we play, Splendor, or can we, do that? Or that I feel like an obligation to them having fun, like the kind of fun.
But you're
that
the
is
fun
promised,
facilitator.
Yeah, right. It's just
I find that sometimes, I think I've even said that before, I can get real salty about that sometimes. I have often been very close to to literally saying, I'm not here to be your fucking entertainment.
Yeah.
Like I don't get paid to be entertain you. I do this because I enjoy it, but right now it's not very fucking enjoyable.
Yeah.
So just like give me a moment to collect myself, because that's frustrating. That's just flat out frustrating.
If one person's not having fun, I can guarantee nobody else is either.
Yeah, and I would say even more so, if the guy running the game, the guy or gal running the game, or they who are running the game aren't having fun, you're fucked.
You're right. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to be a chore for everybody at the same time at that point.
Yeah. They can fuck that game up even when they're not trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I've done that a lot in the past at different times, where I've just been so like, I'm so over this that you have no idea how over this I am.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be an intolerable person to be around because I'm just fried.
Yeah.
I'm so fried that I don't fucking care whether or not you're having fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's shitty to feel that way too. No one, I don't think anyone like comes to a game and says, well, I can't wait to shit on a good time. Man, it'll be so much fun when I fuck up someone's night because I don't feel like being their entertainment this evening.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the tough thing with when it's the stream and stuff. It's nice to it ups the importance or whatever. It's like, okay, we're doing this for people that even if there isn't anybody watching, there's other people out there.
That forces me not to be a prick a lot of times. I will be honest.
But I also feel
streaming is like I have to remind myself like there are other people out here who are watching this and they're taking some type of joy from it. So like I don't want to ruin their night too. If I ruin my friends' nights, I can apologize eventually. Which I'm also not great at. But yeah, if it's like just other folks, like then I feel real fucking guilty about it.
Right, but then also it becomes easier, I think, to start to resent it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because it's like, okay, I have to do this thing whether I want to or not because other people are expecting me to. So it's a fine line to walk.
Expectations.
Everybody needs a mental health day, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's for work or game or whatever it is, Yeah. Gotta keep your mind in it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, you aren't wrong. You're not wrong at all with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday. I'm really good at no, don't work for Mitch. I think that that's hard. It's hard to feel like you have to feel sorry when the reality is exactly what you said, Brian. It's just like some days you just need it. You need a mental health day, or you need the escape. I mean, we don't also all play role-playing games because we love the state of the world as it is. It's a lot of it is it's an escape, or it's a thing that we can't do or we don't have access to. I mean, I think it's again one of the reasons why like looking back, thinking about the times where I had less fun playing Magic because I didn't have any disposable income, because that was not something that was like, my parents were just like, hey, here's, $50, here's $100, like go buy whatever you want so you can be more competitive. It's like
go hog wild with that COD game you love so much.
Right. Yeah. It's just not a part of it. And that's not to say that like I had less fun, but that like I had to play things that were weird to be competitive because I had to catch people by surprise for the people that were spending the money to have like the same experience, you know? And it's one of the reasons why I love deck builders and I love things like that, where it's just like $50 in a box. Everybody's is based on the merit of like how you think on your feet or how different combinations you can make.
Every
or like,
time you say $50, I just want to go $50 to make you holler. I get paid to do the wild thing, and I'm so sorry.
I mean,
I'm so sorry.
I mean, Tone Loc should be the one apologizing, but I think he's dead, so
Is Tone Loc dead?
he might be now.
Coolio dead.
Coolio dead for sure.
That sucks. Anyway,
No, Tone Loc's still alive. Good for Tone Loc.
Hell yeah, Tone Loc.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I'm excited for Tuesday. I appreciate you guys taking the time, you know, this morning to kind of dig into it, and for everybody that joined. I think we had like 10 or 12 people on at some point. So thanks to everybody, you know, in the chat always.
Everybody love him some beard.
Yeah,
I think you forget that sometimes.
I try not to.
Everybody love him some beard. Like you didn't come open stuff on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And people were just like, "Where's Beard?" And I'm like, "Beard got life, man."
Yeah.
Look, whenever Beard's not on screen, all the other characters should be asking, "Where's Beard?"
You laugh. That is kind of how it is sometimes.
Well,
It'd be like that sometimes.
Sometimes it do. I feel you.
Sometimes it just be like that. People want their beard, man. They need it.
I want my beard too. But
and I think it's important for you to remember that as well. Like,
yeah,
that you know you're, and that goes across to.
I'm sorry. Fuck you, Christy. I love you.
That goes across to you running games. I mean,
yeah,
people are going to have fun because you're running it.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's the thing that I really have to remember is like
they know you're going to pour your heart and soul into it.
It's Danny and I have talked about this though, because we were both like, I don't understand what it is that why you think I'm so great, and it's like, yeah, and that's frustrating sometimes, but also it would also be kind of shitty to be like, if somebody was like, man, you're amazing, and you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I think if you can be humble about it,
you got to keep it in perspective. So you can
be humble about shit.
Hasn't completely internalized how much people like him, because he'd be insufferable.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus! Don't. You know who has internalized that sometimes though? I just want to say this, Beard, Drunk Beard.
Drunk Beard.
Drunk Beard sometimes that way. Like we've talked about this before. Drunk Beard, especially like Drunk Beard on commentary, that's insufferable. Like you all don't know.
Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Beard, when he's knee deep in his own sauce, when he's loving the smell of his own shit,
Jesus,
that is insufferable. But
thanks, buddy.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm only saying this for your own good. I think the key to it though is you don't do that very often, if at all. You are one of the most generous people creatively that I know, with your time and with your thoughts, with all of it, because you aren't that way. You don't feel the need to be that way, and that's awesome, man. That's really it's impressive, because I'm the same way in games. I think sometimes I love the smell of my own shit, and I'll be like, I know this is cool. Why is this cool? Because I fucking did it. And it's like, no, that's not a real answer, nor is it true.
God damn it. I forgot about that when we did the murder mystery pre-pandemic in the before times. And Cassie and Christy betrayed me, straight up betrayed me.
Which are almost foul.
Cassie was so drunk that she didn't realize why the two of us being on a team and her teaming up with Christy because they're friends to kill me was a bad thing for her. I was like trying to explain to her, like, you realize you don't, like, once Christie's faction betrays you, our entire faction is dead. I still to this day I'm like, I don't understand the logic of. And yeah, Drunk Beard hates a lack of logic.
Well, I would debate that.
Well, no, not my own, others.
Yeah, the lack of other people's logic, I would be
no.
like, yeah.
Drunk Beard is critical. Yeah, no, I know that my shit is not good when that happens. Yeah, it
Yeah,
isn't
I
like
mean,
she
but we all
murdered
have
both of you.
our bullshit to bear when it comes to that.
That's
You
true.
know, I go from like giggly, super fun to fucking hella morose. One of the reasons I don't drink,
Yeah.
because I become more than insufferable.
Yeah.
And nobody needs that shit. Nobody wants that business.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah,
We should do our business.
I think that, you keep doing what you're doing, man. If it gets those things where it's not fun, then try something else. You're smart, you're creative, you're a good boy, you're my good D&D boy. You can take and use any game you want and tell the stories you want to tell with your friends and just have fun. I mean, I know it sounds simple and I'm probably being simplistic about it, but dude, you can do it.
Yeah.
You and the people that play games with you
doggone it, people like me
are going to find a way are going to find a way to have fun.
Yeah.
And that's all you want to, that's the end goal.
Yeah.
Have the fun.
Have the fun. All right. What fun do we have?
Beard's been giving me the wrap it up B sign for like 20 minutes now.
Yeah. This is when Ben is insufferable, is when he Minnesota goodbyes me when we're out of time.
I do it partially on accident and partially on fucking purpose.
He's hitting that light at the back of the club, and Ben's just like, I know my time's up. I don't give a shit. I got jokes.
Jokes, man.
You have to pull me from this state, pull this microphone from my cold dead hands.
Yeah. How do we do this? At the end, everybody says where you can find them and what they're doing this week. And I put the known world stuff down here.
Where you is, who you be with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You haven't been on as much lately because you got real life stuff, and so you've lost a little bit of your
like bankrupt about this. Like I think that like the reality is like giving myself this to do. Also Mountain Monsters. I just like. I just don't mountain monster very hard, and so like I also
been very mountain monstery lately.
I know. Yeah.
That's the thing, though. You could try.
I
just like it's kind of like when I asked my dad at a certain point when we
could mix up our relationship a little bit.
No,
you could try the mountain
monster is the only thing that I am like not. I listen. I've watched horror with you. I've watched other things.
Okay,
like
monsters. The littlest of horror.
Yeah. Hey. I know what I like and I know what I don't like.
You don't like horror.
I don't like horror, and I don't like reality television.
Here's the thing about Mountain Monsters. It's not that though. That's the thing. It's so much more.
I know that it's so much more. It's just not. I said when I rode in the car with my dad one time. Back in the day.
You saw Bigfoot?
No.
Please tell me you saw Bigfoot.
No. I asked him why he doesn't like listening to the radio when we rode together. And I said, I discover new bands or songs that I like, or I hear someone talking about a concert that I have coming up. And he said at a certain point, like, I know that there's new things out there and that they're not bad. I just like listening to what I like listening to, And I was like, okay, like, and in that moment, I understood something about who he was and like where he was in life that like I just didn't get before then. And I feel like I'm kind of there with certain things where it's just like I don't want to try something different flavored in a genre that I already know I don't like. It's like going to cuisine style that just like doesn't hit my palate, and being like, but they have this new dish, and it's like, I know, but it's like, but I would rather like go see a new dish at like something that I like am intrigued by, and like I might try at home rather than something that like I yeah, I don't know. I just the whole all of those things that kind of that format just like makes me cringe in ways that like feel like I feel like wrapped around a coil, and I just like I don't like the way I feel when I watch stuff like that. It's like things that are so cringy, like shows that are so cringy where it's just kind of like I can't.
I don't find it cringy because
no, I'm not saying that
you don't,
is.
but
I'm just saying that like I like it's not that it is cringe, it's that like I cringe because I just like it. I don't. It's not relaxing to me. It's not like I don't know.
I mean, no, it's okay to. I mean, it's okay. I'm just always going to be someone who's always going to look at something like that and want to share it because I find it to be like I find it fun. I'm like this show is stupid fun. Like and so I'm always going to be like kind of going, oh, dude, you gotta check this out because it's stupid as fuck. It's kind of in a lot of ways like got a Reno 911 feel to it in some bizarre fashion. Like I'm not sure if they're aware how dumb they are, but if they are, they're the funniest, improvised comedians in the entire universe. But at the same time, I also understand it's not everyone's jam. But as you just said, when everybody is enjoying the insanity of it,
I also don't want to poo-poo it. Like I don't want to sit here and just like kind of like
don't
look like I'm distracted and just like I want to be present. That's why I really like this. Like I love Spike's thing. It's like I also don't Mountain Monster, but watching y'all discuss it. Yeah. And it's just one of those things that like I've been on a couple times when we've been discussing it, and I just like feel like I'm not contributing positively in that space.
You are
like sitting,
But you are because you're here. That's the thing. Sometimes just being here is contributing positively.
Yeah.
And I think need people remember that as well. I think that the folks who I'm very fortunate to play games with forget that sometimes when I'm in the middle of like meanwhiling, I'll get some people who I can tell are not, they like that when it's their time.
Sure.
When it's somebody else's time,
we all love it when it's our own flavor, baby.
Yeah, I can see them physically like getting like, okay, now I can check my phone. Now I can do whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm never going to be like, don't check your phone.
Yeah.
Because we're so conditioned to do that now all the fucking time.
Yeah.
That my expectation is that's just life now. But when you're present, you catch shit that's like so cool.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about something as stupid as Mountain Monsters, sometimes, if you're just present, that's the fun part. It's like, I'm watching these people talk about this really fucking inane, dumb thing, but they're so excited about it that it gets kind of contagious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that made it. I feel like I'm not making sense today at all, which, that is what it is. That's not an unusual. That's not a completely unheard of thing for me. So,
yeah. All right. I wanted to shout this out because I didn't before. The modules that I was talking about, I put links in the chat. Bardcore Brawlers by Leon Barrio. Barriaro, and then Battle of the Bands is the one that I just did by Brian Maley, and I really, really enjoyed it. Super well put together. I put DM's Guild. That's where I got the copies of it. But simple PDFs, like nicely laid out, good graphics, and just a couple bucks a piece if you're in it to win it. So I wanted to make sure I gave them a shout out because I think I shouted out all the other folks, Ben Robbins and company. But yeah, thank you. Tuesday, I'll be helping world building with all of my friends. Thank you for taking the time to hear me this morning.
Dan, you're always you're OG. You're a part of all of this. You always have been. Even though, like you said, sometimes for real life pulls you in some different directions. This is always here for you. I think, again, I want people to remember, for as much stuff as, I shove down your gullet, this is all Beard's fault. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying, like, Beard is the guy who was like, hey, we're doing this, Chonk. We're doing it because it's cool and because I want to, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to make you have fun with this. And he does. He brings the fun. And we're all very lucky when he has the time to come hang out and bring that heat. So, again, thank you for being you. And we love you.
Thank you. Also,
we're proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. I'm proud of
I'm
you.
not just saying that because you're here. I'm saying it because I am genuinely proud of you.
I like that.
Because if you weren't here, I would still be like, well, I'm sort of proud of him.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. All right, I have to go. I have to be somewhere.
Guy takes over a show and has a hard out. Big surprise.
Hey, dude, I run things on the rail.
You do.
When it comes to the end of the line, I gotta get everybody off, or I feel bad.
He's a railroad boy.
Yeah.
All right, Beard. Thank you.
Yeah. Where can everybody be found? Tell the people.
Brian, you want to go first?
Sure. Brian on most social medias here. Not very often anymore, but when I can. But yeah. No.
Brian is one of our Chaos Scar stands.
Yes.
Always bringing it.
We're glad to have you here whenever you can.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Matt, here most Sundays. Dave Wonder for Chop and Shop every other Tuesday. I'll be there this week, this coming week. And then I'm on social media, Hustler, a lot of places. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, baby.
You know me. My foul stink is upon you everywhere. I'm ubiquitous and unstoppable. You can find me here tomorrow for a War and Star, aka Star War. We'll have some of these fine folks are playing that game, but I don't think any of these fine folks will be here tomorrow because of other business. But we will have Shannon and Richard and Colin. And I'm forgetting a couple people, but that's just how my brain works. So you just have to accept my fallibilities. Then you can find me. Let me get the calendar out so I can tell you about the shit that I do. 14th, Wellness Wednesday. We'll be talking about things are going for about an hour. By the way, I met my goal already this week because I did the ergometer yesterday. So, hey, and then I gave myself a cheat day yesterday, and now I feel real fat and gross. And then Thursday, Spoopy Boys. Oh, shit, it's a Nashy Boys episode. That's right, gird your loins. We're going to be watching a Paul Nash movie.
Nashy Boys.
Nashy. And maybe at some point, we will have that theme song ready. And when we do, it's going to be a banger. Just like Colin made the new theme song for Tiny May, or for
Mang on Mang.
Mang on Mang has a theme song now, Beard, so you don't have to worry about it.
All right.
And I love every bit of it, even though Colin hates it. What I say to that is, don't make cool shit, and I won't post it on the internet. And then Friday, Bad at Games. I believe it's still going to be those sweet folks playing on Lethal Company, and they're real good at it, and everybody likes it. So, And
Also-
then next Sunday, prep school. You know where to find us.
Thanks for all of our friends for supporting us as we've done like Known World United stuff for Extra Life. But Shaggy always in the chat doing Polar Punch once again. Please donate. We love it. Thanks to everybody for dropping in today. And because I'm running the show, we hearing the dope ass song that Ben made at the end too.
You and these terrible tracks I made.